go. Hello, world. Let's see. There we go. Hi. Hello. We're doing something a little different here tonight. A lot different, actually. I am on live streaming right now on Twitch, but this is going to be a huge experiment. All of this is going to be an experiment. I'm on Dune right now, but a few caveats. First of all, I've talked about my computer before. It's not an amazing computer. It doesn't have a dedicated GPU of any kind. So the way I play computer games is my nifty Steam Deck. Okay, so the capture on this is a little bit questionable. I am there we go. So hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I am planning on just giving some thoughts on Dune Awakening. So obviously this is a crafting survival game. If you're not familiar, there are 1,000,006 people who are out in the deep desert and they're playing the PvP part and doing all the endgame stuff. That's not me. So what I like crafting survival games in general, but what I do find is I tend to not stick with them for more than maybe a month, maybe 2, if they're really good. Dune Awakening, I went back and forth on whether or not I was going to get it. It's an MMO crafting survival. So you play with, you and your close 1,000 friends. And I don't know, I had my reservations before I went in, but let me tell you why I decided to finally go in on it. So first of all, I do like Dune. I'm not what you would call like a diehard Dune fan. Like, I can't do the Litany of Fear by memory at the drop of a hat. I have plenty of friends who can. That's, that's fine. It's just not my area of expertise. But here's the thing. I kind of want to talk about like the design and some of the choices that were made in creating this game, and then I'll do a quick little like tour of my base, just because why not? So design-wise, let's talk about the elephant in the room: IP grabs. Everyone loves IP grabs, and in fairness, like there are some good IP games. I'm not going to name any immediately just because, and sorry, see, there's my screen staggering a little bit. It's all going to depend on how well my Bluetooth connection to my computer holds up. So sorry for the little momentary losses of frames here. But, so Dune obviously is an IP grab. It's weird that it came out a couple years after the movie, so like the popularity sort of peaked. And I think, has probably not entirely dead, but it's certainly declined quite a bit. There goes my screen again. Sorry. Let's just see if we can get him back up here. Okay. So, anyways, the big point that I'd like to make is there are plenty of IP grabs out there that are obviously just moneymakers, and you can smell those, right? Like they took a game and like painted it with Star Wars stuff, like you have a blaster, but if you change that blaster into a 6-shooter and put cowboy hats on everyone, it would be the exact same game, right? so woo, that was a close explosion. Hello. Yeah, that was a spice explosion somewhere nearby. I don't know if I could see it from here. I could try. But, in any case, so whenever a new something comes along, like this is the new Dune game or the new Star Wars game, I'd be pretty skeptical. And rightly so, I think, because there's some really good IPs out there. There's some that are much less so, right? Like like I said, as a Star Wars fan, I've lived with many years of either extreme joy or extreme disappointment. There's kind of no in between on on Star Wars games. They're either amazing and you get to hold a lightsaber and it makes your dreams come true, or they're terrible. So this one I had been following some of the development story, and I got kind of excited when they were talking about making it a crafting survival. Although survival games, like I said, can get a little old. What kind of tipped me off that maybe this was going to work okay was they changed the survival parts. You might be able to see like in the lower left hand corner of my screen is all of my survival stats. Um, and the only one you have is water, which is amazing because this is Arrakis. Uh, the only thing that matters is water. Somehow they always have food in Dune. They never worry about food. But water is sacred. You do not you practice good water safety. And you know, I have a still suit on right now. Um and I have my helmet turned off, but I am wearing a full still suit. Um, so so I'm conserving my water as much as possible. So great. So that to me shows a lot of awareness of like just the culture and the history of this IP, right? Dune, Arrakis, water, amazing. Um, they also did this thing where it's an alternate history. So this actually made me roll my eyes. So bear with me here. They did this alternate history where Paul Atreides was never born, and so all the events of the movies never occurred. And so, from a design standpoint, from a storytelling standpoint, here's what they managed to do. So, whenever you make a game, you want your players to be the heroes, right? Like that's why you play games. You want to be the hero. You don't want to be the like, you know, sidekick. Uh, and Oh, there's my bike. I lost track of my sand bike for a second. Anyways, so yeah, so they removed Paul Atreides, so you can basically be the hero of your own story here, which in an MMO is always kind of awkward. Like you are the hero, in spite of the other 8 people on your team, you're the hero. But I get it. They're trying. Um, but they put some thought into their alternate history, right? Like because Paul was never born, Jessica had a girl, and because she had a girl, the Bene Gesserit didn't like banish her, and so she had more training, and so she stopped the plot against the Atreides, and all of this other stuff happened. So that's cool as a storytelling gimmick. That's not too terrible. Again, they at least watched the movies. Um, I'm sure someone read the books. Right? Like it shows a little bit more awareness of the world and the history and the culture of the world. So yeah, so I was kind of excited. I will tell you though, something that really kind of got me excited about the whole thing was plain and simple their pricing strategy. So MMOs usually come with subscription fees, and for a good MMO, I'm happy to pay like $15 a month or whatever. Um, and I do have my favorite MMO that I play. But Dune went with not very often used strategy where you buy the game once and that's it. And then they're kind of relying on like future purchases. They do have like a Game Pass thing, but the only thing you get from Game Passes are, let's see, do I have any around here? You get like some cosmetic stuff for your base. I don't think. Well, I think the something around here might be one of those Game Pass items. But in any case, you get to make your base a little prettier, and you get some like cosmetic items that you can wear, right? So cool. It doesn't change the gameplay at all. It's not going to give you an unfair advantage. It just makes some things a little bit nicer and cooler. So yeah. So from a game design perspective, uh, like I said, it feels like they showed a lot of respect to what Dune is and to making the experience interesting and entertaining for their players. Now, I will say this This is going to be my exploration here of the casual player solo. If you want a video of people rushing out into the PvP areas and showing off their skills, I am not that person. I've never been that person. I'm just, I don't know. I'm not that good at PvP, and that's okay. So, but there's plenty you can do just hanging out. I have worked on this base quite a bit. I go around and I mine, and I go and like find cool stuff to do and make money. Uh, and that keeps me pretty happy, right? I do not need to stress out trying to fight like 1v20 in the PvP areas because I'm playing this with a friend. Um, and so he and I have been really casual. So I have not been to the deep desert, which is the big end game. And I haven't finished the storyline yet either. But I'll tell you, you can see in the achievements, like the all of the achievements that have to do like building your base and decorating and finishing the storyline stuff. That's not where people are. People are largely just out rolling with their big guilds, and that's fine, right? Like you play the game that you want to play. Um, and the game that I want to play is a game with my friend who hasn't had a lot of time to play recently, so I'm waiting for him to get back before I continue on to the second half of the storyline or go to the deep desert. So I don't have any of the big stuff that you can build only with the end game stuff. Um, but I do have like a base and stuff. So yeah, so game design wise, that's it's another spice explosion that you're hearing. I think actually that one, yeah, that was a spice geyser. Obviously this is Dune, spice is everything, but the big spice is out in the deep desert. There's a few around here I could go get. I'm not going to right now. Uh, let's see. I don't think I even have my Thopter on me. No, I don't. Okay, so, anyways, um, so yeah, so game design, they made some interesting choices. When the game first launched, Deep Desert, the end game stuff was all PvP, and watching this unfold was amusing because people complained, like, I don't want to do PvP, so why do I have to, in order to advance the game, I have to go into these areas where I'm going to get swamped by the massive 40-person guilds. And it's a legitimate complaint, right? Like, the 40-person guilds are out there guarding their resources, and the only way you're going to get past them is if you also join a 40-person guild. I'm not in one of those. Our guild is 2 people, and we're happy with that. So, um, so the developers listened, which was cool. They made part of the Deep Desert PvE, player versus environment, which is great. And immediately all the PvP players came to like, "Why are you ruining our game?" Okay, internet. Um, so the developers are listening. They're trying to dynamically change things as they can. Um, this is um, so yeah, so that's always a good sign, right? When the developers care enough about the community to continue to listen and update their game. So design, this you might have noticed is made in Unity engine, uh, which is interesting to me. It's like a AAA style game, but they're using Unity. Um, so that's great. Unity has some of its own problems, but so those are all evident in here. Sometimes there's like some terrain collisions that don't entirely work, right? So there's always going to be glitches when you use an engine like that. But generally, I haven't been having a lot of problems. There have been bugs. Um, you know, that's the way we launch games these days. You launch them when they're good enough, and then there's a million bugs, and they'll just be, there's new updates like every week, sometimes 2 or 3 times a week. Remember the days? I'm gonna give myself away here. Remember the days when you just bought a game and that was it? It was done, and maybe you went online and searched out a patch or something. But generally, they release games that worked. Yeah, okay, whatever. Um, but they've done pretty well. Wandering around the this I'm just gonna call it the newbie area, the Haga Basin area. I haven't had too many problems. Occasionally, I have fallen through the map once or twice, but then it resets itself. Okay. Um, oh, also it's Monday night. Hello. So this storm's gonna be picking up because Tuesday is the giant storm that wipes everything off the map. It's a Coriolis storm, which is, if you want to learn about astronomy and physics, Coriolis storms are pretty cool. Or the Coriolis effect is really awesome, I should say. Uh, so yeah, so I think design-wise, they've done a good job at making you feel like you are in the desert, and I'm on this nice safe rock, and I've got a few neighbors who've also decided to come along here. Because not being on the rock, it's nighttime and it's stormy right now, so this is gonna be fun. Oh, well, that guy's base is powering down. Hello, neighbor. You better turn your base power back on. Okay, you have to fuel your generators because that's like a little detail in Dune. Like that was what Dr. Yue did, was sabotage the generators. So you have your own generators, or else your base is vulnerable. Um, so yeah, so if you come out away from my base here, there's open sand, and out there in the open sand, there are sandworms, and they will entirely destroy your life. Everything you have, if you get eaten, you lose everything that's on your body. It's like all your equipment, all your favorite weapons, your whatever vehicle you're riding in is just gone. It's now in the belly of a worm. And for the first part of the game, the worms are freaking terrifying, which is what they should be, right? This Shai Hulud does not forgive. And he does not play favorites. So I've gotten eaten a few times, partly because like I did it intentionally, but partly because I was still trying to learn the rules. And I failed. I got eaten by a sandworm. You might have noticed also there's these ships that come out at night. Those are Sardaukar. There's one, and he's looking for me because I escaped a prison ship. And so if I got caught by him, then I'd have a fight on my hands as well that I cannot win because they're Sardaukar. I'm not going to mess with them. But they don't come over here, so my base is safe. But yeah, so like, here's another design point. Like for the first part of the game, Shai Hulud, sandworms, and the Sardaukar, and everything else are incredibly scary. Like my heart dropped to my stomach every time I had to cross the sand, which you have to do eventually. This is scared the heck out of me because you just hear that rumbling, and you can see your what vibrations you're causing in the sand, and they get more and more and more, and then you get attacked by worms. It's terrible. It's horrifying. But then you build an ornithopter, and all that's done. It's like over. And I get it. Like that's part of survival games. Is you start out literally you don't have any water. You're sipping dew off of plants, right? Like, and then you get to the point we have like water all over the place here, and we can get water from all kinds of different sources. I never have to worry about water, really. I've got 653,000 milliliters in my base. I don't really. You're right. So that's kind of part of crafting. Is I've increased the amount of storage I have. I've made different ways to generate water. I've made better armor, better weapons, so it's easier for me to survive. And so some of that just is crafting survival. You get better and better. Go out and you scout and you explore and get better materials. They make everything better for yourself. But I feel like the dynamic change between riding your little sand bike around and doing your best to avoid worms versus now I have an ornithopter and I never need to worry about worms. Well, I say that. Really, you still have to worry about worms a little, but not even half so much as you did when you had a sand bike. And even my sand bike is pretty fast, so I don't have to worry about worms. So I don't know. I think that's going to change again once I get out to the desert, when we start big spice fields. But for now, I can avoid the worms pretty fast. So I think I don't know. I go back and forth on this because on one hand, again, crafting survival, I put myself in this position because I worked hard and got all the materials and everything that I need in order to be speedy and to avoid worms. But on the other hand, that's such a distinctly central part of Dune is, the worm always comes, and the worms are this ever-present danger. Um, and they're just not anymore. So I don't know. I guess I guess I don't have a conclusion about this. Um, Another thing, and so if I were to do a review of a review, um, if I had anything else to say here, this was from someone who had been out on Discord talking to the devs, and obviously has been playing like in the deep desert and stuff. The devs wanted there to be this strong Atreides Harkonnen conflict happening. And so some of this is my feelings too. Like I've experienced a little bit of this. So when you make a guild, you sign on to be either Atreides or Harkonnen. We're Atreides, and what that allows you to do is you eventually start working for the Landsrad, and none of them are available right now. But as the week goes on, it's gonna start unlocking all of these different minor houses, and you go and you do tasks for the minor houses, and you basically are playing bingo, right? Like, Atreides will capture some of these, and Harkonnen will capture some of these. Whoever gets the most wins the Landsrad for the week. And you get like special perks. You get special merchants or better experience, or one of these is we have crafting costs are reduced by 25% right now. Uh, that's really cool. I like that there's like a political system. But that seems to be the only purpose for doing the Landsrat, or for joining a house, because once you get into PvP, it doesn't matter. I could shoot House Atreides members unequivocally. I don't. There's nothing that says like I am Atreides, and will right. And so there's an argument to be made here that this is a sort of a dark political structure. Traitors happen, right? I mean, that's pretty central to the story of Dune, that there's a traitor in House Atreides, and that's why Atreides falls. It's because of one man. Uh, so yes, building that in is pretty cool. There's also, if you spend a little cash, I could actually, I've spent some of the cash. You can actually disguise yourself as your opponent. I guess I can't do it with the still suit. But I have some of the I have some of the Harkonnen stuff, mercenaries, Harkonnen scout chest piece, so I can make myself look Harkonnen, right? And I even have the Harkonnen colors and everything. Um, so you could be a traitor and like go and infiltrate the your opponents. That's cool. But at the same time, I feel like the developers have never actually met a PvP server in their lives. Because I don't know if you've noticed, internet, PvP players are crazy. Alright? If you can shoot it, they will shoot it. So, um, it's all his plans about making traders and stuff doesn't really count, because if you can shoot another Atreides, then you're gonna. So there's no loyalty out there. People are just gonna shoot. They're gonna shoot. If they're gonna PvP, they're gonna PvP, and there's no helping it. So I feel like they wanted to make something really world deep, but I hear a worm somewhere nearby. Maybe a little bit of rumbling. I'll get a thopter and we'll go play with worms in a little bit. But actually, maybe I think I've got my scout. Let's go see. Let's go see. Well, if I can get close enough. Hello? Hello? Okay. Here we go. Alright. Here's my scout. This will let me look around the game a little bit too. Woo, that's loud. Oh my gosh. It's really loud. Sorry. It's very loud. Audio. My audio's already way down. It's still so loud. Okay. So again, this is like the non-PvP area. All of this PvE with the exception of like you can see the Coriolis storm is brewing here. It's gonna hit, and it actually wipes out the deep desert and changes a bunch of stuff. So what was I saying with this? Oh yeah. So I feel like the developers had this really creative idea where they could make traders appear and make that a part of the game, but then the internet happened. And, you know, players are not that thoughtful. They're not going, you know, it'd be cool if, like, we all got together and decided, you know, we're going to respect the colors. Like, if you're Atreides, then we're not going to shoot you. But it's just not what's happening. No one cares. So I guess that's kind of an interesting development dynamic between what you intend, what you designed, and what's really going to happen. And so I hope that they come up with a way to make their intentions a reality, but it's not going to be by just opening it up to player input, because the player's input is going to be, hey, can I shoot this? Okay, so yeah, so I think that's a lot. That's more or less everything I have to say about it. So far I'm still enjoying just the crafting survival part of it. And like I said, once my friend gets back, we're gonna continue the storyline, and we're out here looking for the Fremen who apparently were wiped out by Sardaukar. Again, as part of that alternate history, but there's evidence that they have not been wiped out. You can see it's very pretty out here, especially now that the sun's coming up, and I think I see spice. There's spice. Yay, spice. Probably scan this and mark it down, come back later. Yeah, because if there's one spot where you can still get destroyed by worms, that's also, oh no. Oh no, I also did something bad here. Oh boy. That is radiation zone? Whew. Okay, I don't have a radiation suit on, so that was... I almost died! I'm fine. So yeah, that's just my thoughts as a casual player on this game. I do like it. I like the crafting part. I like that the survival is not so intense that it gets a bit, like, I've played some games where they paint this huge world. It's very pretty, but you have to carry so much food and water with you that you never get to most of it. Like, getting far away from your base becomes such a hassle. And then building a second base is also a hassle. And so you just never explore. But, you know, I've definitely explored this entire map. That's drum sand underneath me, which is also a cool feature of, like, Dune-ness. So yeah, so Haga Basin is definitely the newbie area. But, and it's, I'll also say this, it's not very occupied. Like, it took almost no time at all for people to decide they didn't want to hang out here anymore. So, that's sad too. That feels like the devs had an idea that this was going to be a place where people could kind of hang out and chill. Park in the, park, okay, I failed that, I'm sorry. I'm good at games, I am. Not fair, there you go. And the dispenser belt. Okay. Which is another cool thing from like the movies and the books and everything, the dispensers. It even does the wall sound. Wall. Okay. Uh, I'm easily amused. It's very entertaining to me. Okay. Anyways, I promised a base tour, so hopefully my graphics card will hold out and let you see. So there's these beautiful bases that I always see online, and some part of me is like, I should build one of those. They look gorgeous, right? Like they have these very lovely. But then I kind of come back to mine, and it's just chaotic madness, and it kind of to me looks like a cyberpunk city, sort of built up along the cliff, where everyone has just like smushed their way into some corner of the city, and so it's very dynamic looking. So yeah, so you've already I've kind of just been wandering around the first floor here. Here's our front door into the garage, up the stairs into our small workshop, um, and then if I also go into the main room, we have a dining room. So this is also very telling to me. Um, there's an achievement for decorating your base, and it's like, you have to place so many lights and so many blah blah blahs. Um, is There's something like 6% of all players have actually achieved this, which means only 6% of players have bothered to put down things like tables and chairs and and decorations and stuff. So yeah, but we have a dining room with a sidebar. This is a this makes water. This is a blood purifier. Yes, it's Dune. You suck the blood out of corpses and you stick it in. You can then also pick up the corpse and drop it into a death still, which we have 2 death stills. And yeah, so it's Dune. It's pretty harsh. Storage of random like equipment, and then if we come upstairs to the first floor, again, like there's some really lovely. There's Leto Atreides' father, the bull hunter. Um, and then we have a reading area. At one point, I was trying to give another tour. I was like, here's another reading nook. Here's another reading nook. I had so many reading nooks. I've gotten rid of a couple of them, but there's still a lot of reading nooks. And a bedroom. Okay. And then all of this, so I've replaced all the parts with like the new Atreides stuff as I got more and more advanced in the Atreides. But really, everything I'm showing you here is part of the original house. It was actually like way, way back in the newbie area. Um, and you'll see, I went crazy adding on to it. So then we have a water floor. There's a bunch of water cisterns around here, and also a couple of like water processors that are out of. I need to make more filters for those. That'll be something I do later. That requires spice, so I have to go get spice and process spice to make more filters. Um, and then we have a very nice balcony, so you can come out. Atreides, okay, Atreides. And then a second bedroom because there's 2 of us living here, right? So there's a second bedroom. Um, and then this was a reading nook. I turned it into a social nook. This is so I was talking about the Game Pass. This is one of the cute little things you get from the Game Pass. Look, there's Maudie. Hi, buddy. Little sand rat. Yeah, little tiny Dune mouse. They're so cute. They're awfully cute. And then if you come up here, again, this was part of the original house, and I had a statue, and I needed to make a statue of Shai Halud. And this used to be where we had a bunch of power generators and stuff. Now it's just the sandworm, because you must respect Shai Halud and pay him proper tribute. So yeah, so all of this again was like the original house. If I come back down, I'll kind of come to the part that I added on after we expanded the base. So we have an Atreides office where you can receive all of our guests. There's appropriate seating and everything. And then as we go up, this was the original tower that I built. We have a library. I told you there were a lot of reading nooks. This is the actual library, including like we have you must be able to study your opponents. So we have Harkonnen bookcase, Atreides bookcase, lots of books and places to sit and read or visit. This is a new addition. This is one of our scout landing pads. And then this is nothing. Um, this looks like not very much. This is our bridge slash landing pad, or slash workshop, I should say. And it's big enough to support like some of the big equipment that we'll get after we get to the main desert. But you can see we've kind of crossed the canyon here. And one of my favorite features is, I'm so proud of this. I call it my Evita balcony. And I wish there were more players that hung out here, because I am prepared to stand out here and sing "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina" to anyone who passes by. So if you're bored, I promise you a concert. I'll give you, so yeah, so this is just our balcony where you can address the masses. Alright. Oh, we'll talk about that after we take over the world. So there's a second floor here, and there's also, you might have seen I landed in a scout ornithopter landing pad earlier. This place has gotten huge. Mostly I waiting for my friend to get back so we could play again. I got a little bored and I made a bunch of stuff. We do a few processors up here. But then let me go back to the main central floor. This place could do with some decorations. It's pretty bland, but there's also another way outside. There's a million exits if you can find them. This is my diplomacy floor, mostly because I bought a bunch of Harkonnen stuff and I wanted to use it. But yeah, so there's like meeting tables, little areas where you can sit. But then if you come through here, here's like the Harkonnen office, so we can receive our Harkonnen guests if they happen to come by. They have their own private balcony out here, but basically let's just keep them away from the rest of the world. Damn it, Harkonnens, you're not allowed. Stay put. So if you go outside here, this is actually a public shelter, the staircase, but there's lots of places to shelter here. This is our public landing pad. And also includes 2 private landing spots. So this is currently where I have the assault copter parked. But it doesn't fit wonderfully, but it fits well enough. But yes, here's our public landing pad. I have actually had people come land and we kind of hang out and sit and watch the sunset from on top of the base. There's not much of a sunset tonight. Why did I choose to do this Monday night when like the storm is getting crazy? But yeah, but you can see off the edge, enjoy the view, enjoy the rest of the second tower that I built, because that wasn't good enough. There's also like there's a little shelter back here. You kind of have to smush to the end, but if the sandstorm comes, sandstorms are also a thing. If you're caught out in a sandstorm, it's a bad day. And they'll absolutely wreck your vehicle. So you want to land and shelter as fast as possible as soon as you hear one announced. This is our utility room. We have some things. We have even more water. We always need more water. Power. Lots and lots of power. This obviously I found an empty spot and started adding on because it doesn't really fit. I don't know what this tower is. I don't. I just added another tower up here. It's got kind of some cool features, right? Like, got some big open windows that you can see out of. And then this is just kind of open to the world. This is really open to the world, but you can really get in very far. So yeah, and then out. So I guess it's kind of a watchtower because you can see out all of the windows. I guess that's really what it is. But I need to seal that off. I'm reminding myself right now. I suppose it's probably okay. You couldn't really get anywhere if you went in there. So yeah, so it's not decorated yet. It isn't really anything. It just was an extra space that had not been filled in. So I filled it in. absolute madness. In the back of my mind as I'm working on this, this is my mansion of madness. That's what I call it. But yeah, so come up from the power, and here's actually I plan on having a very very large carrier ornithopter at some point. It's meant to go here. But then here's the last tower, and so just a reminder that Shai-Hulud is always watching because again I bought all the Harkonnen stuff, so I built a bedroom out of heart. I do like the blue lights for the Harkonnens, like this kind of eerie blue glow. Open, open. Okay. So yeah. So if you make it past the sandworm, you can. And then up here I have a chome bedroom, which chome company just like makes stuff for everybody. So this is like the neutral bedroom. Hey, look, it's a reading nook. Okay. It's also nighttime here, so it's hard to see a little bit. And then again, I have things. Again, I don't know. Some of the Harkonnen stuff is really cool. I like that light. And I like the like lit table, like the little lights peeking through. But I don't know about the chairs. But anyways, yeah. So Harkonnen dining room, and the like faces watching you from the creepy, creepy. Harkonnens are creepy. That's what it comes down to. I made sure that like they have plenty of Atreides symbols peeking in at them. So you're welcome here. You are. You come here. It's fine. Um, and then if we go up to the very very top of the tower, we have more landing pads. This might change into something else just because I have a lot of landing pads, but these are big enough for assault thopters, really. Um, and then another nice little seating area to enjoy the scenery in the middle of the Coriolis storm brewing. So yeah, so like I said, I've worked quite a bit on this. I'm pretty proud of it. It's very dynamic. Um, it's pretty big. There's certainly bigger out there. I'm debating whether or not I'm gonna build up or not. Build out. I've obviously, well, wait. I have some neighbors who may or may not be maintaining their bases. So if they relinquish their bases, I'm on top of it. So there we go. So yeah, this is the mansion of madness. So you can certainly see it from the distance away. So yeah, that's it. I'm gonna go mine some spice. There's the wormhole in the sky, ever present. And of course, we call the big moon the hand of God. And the little moon's around here somewhere. I don't know. In the middle of the Coriolis storm. So yeah, so that's gonna be it for me tonight. Thanks for joining me. I'm sure I'm gonna have more thoughts on this game once I get to the second half of the story, like to giant space wreck or giant shipwreck, and there will be more happening once we get there. But I'm gonna wait for my friend to play through it, and then I'll let you know my thoughts. Like I said, I like a lot of it feels very Arrakis. So much of it, water is a problem. Sandworms are always kind of rumbling around here, ever present. And the Sardaukar hunting you are kind of horrifying. You get caught by them, they like freeze you in place as they all like suspensor belt their way down from the ship and show up to come kill you. So there's a lot happening here, and there's enough to have kept me entertained for a couple months now. So that's a good thing. And it's just dusty and dry and terrifying, and but at the same time, once you get to this level, it's also So, yeah, yep. There we go. That's my thoughts on Dune Arrakis. Or on Dune Awakening. I'm probably gonna like, as I tend to play some older games. I haven't gotten into any of the newest ones yet, and I like sort of calmer side of things generally. I'm terrible at FPS. I will confess that right now. I'm awful at FPS. So I don't do very twitchy games like that. But yeah, I will continue to sort of improve on this series. Because, so whenever you take writing classes and stuff, one of the first things they always say to you is in order to write, you have to read. Um, and I imagine filmmakers get the same thing. If you want to make films, you have to see films. If you want to make games, you have to play games. If you want to cook, if you want to, if you want to cook, you have to go out and experience good food. Right, and decide what you like. So that's kind of, I want to continue to do that, not just play these games, but think about them, think about the design choices that went into them, um, and what I think I would improve upon. And I have some thoughts here about like I actually would have kind of liked to see a game where Arrakis is a part of it, but the bigger story of that universe was also told, right? Because there's like the Sardaukar Emperor, or Sardaukar, the I'm I'm not a great Dune fan. There's the Emperor and all the great houses and the minor houses, and they all have their own worlds and their own histories. I think it would be really cool to see Dune game, and maybe this exists. I haven't discovered it. Where you play as one of the minor houses, and you kind of have to play in that big dynamic of like the huge worlds, huge galaxy of different worlds, all linked together by this magical spice, right? Like I think that would be a really cool game. But but that's my idea. I don't know. I do not own the IP, so but maybe that'll inspire something. So, anyways, I'm calling a night while I go mine for spice, uh, and refill my fuel because I'm gonna crash.